This year, 58 AD, Emperor Nero finds himself in a love triangle. The Roman commander Corbulo sacks the Armenian city of ARTAXATA, and Vologases ends his son's rebellion in Parthia. Welcome to the Yearly Histories, where we will highlight the major events that take place in the Common Era, year by year. Last year, we saw the revolt of Venutius in Britannia being defeated, Paul the Apostle completing his third missionary journey and being imprisoned in Jerusalem before being moved to Caesarea, and the death of Emperor Guangwu and the ascension of his son, Emperor Ming. Starting off in Britain, where the new governor of Britannia is chosen after months of vacancy. The selection is Gaius Suetonius Paulinus, who previously held provincial command in Mauritania during the revolt of the early 40s AD. Paulinus's goals reflect that of the previous short-lived governor, Quintus Veranius, who staunchly believed that the aggressively defiant Silures needed to be dealt with as soon as possible. Conflict once again looks to be on the horizon on this island. In Rome, Emperor Nero is coming forward with ideas to improve his favorability. He proposes the abolition of customs duties and indirect taxes, aiming to reduce the tax burden on the populace. He's attempting to promote freer trade and relief for the poor. However, faced with opposition from the Senate and concerns about fiscal collapse, he's unable to fully eliminate these taxes. In the end, they convince the inexperienced administrator that it would bankrupt the treasury, and he relents. On a more personal note for Nero, the impulsive and faithless side within him begins to bubble closer to the surface. Poppaea Sabina is a prominent Roman noblewoman in her late 20s who is well known in the Eternal City for her beauty. She is currently married to a man named Rufrius Crispinus, but has been having affairs not just with Emperor Nero, but also his friend Marcus Salvius Otho. Nero is no fan of Crispinus and orders Poppaea Sabina to divorce him and marry Otho. However, not long after, Nero's jealousy consumes him with thoughts of Otho's beauty and youth, and suspects him of greater intimacy with Poppaea. Shortly thereafter, he also orders this couple to get divorced. To rid himself of his former friend and companion, he appoints Otho as the governor of the Roman province of Lusitania on the far edge of the Iberian Peninsula. Nero's recent personal life is marked not only by romantic turbulence, but also by the continued watchfulness and criticism of his mother, Agrippina the Younger. As their relationship has grown more hostile over the last couple years, Nero gradually began to deprive his mother of honors and power, and even removed her bodyguards, while also expelling her from the capital, forcing her to live in her villa in Misenum. Here, Agrippina allegedly conspires with Rubellius Plautus and other senators to overthrow Nero. As Nero becomes increasingly frantic and compulsive, she must remain vigilant, for he has shown he will go to great lengths to eliminate anything that threatens the decadent life he craves. Across the Roman frontier in the north, the rivalry between two Germanic tribes reaches its boiling point, that being the Cati and Hermunduri. Their border disputes in recent times have led to a relationship strained to its limits. This year, they clash violently over control of a sacred river, and the Hermunduri slaughter every Cati warrior who opposes them, emerging decisively victorious. They also win control of valuable salt reserves along the riverbanks. The fighting continues on into the summer, but ultimately the Cati are forced into submission. With so many warlike tribes packed into a small region, rivalries and conflicts are inevitable. In the Caucasus, chaos continues to reign supreme. During spring, Gnaeus Domitius Corbulo, the Roman commander in the east, launches an invasion of Armenia from Cappadocia to drive out Parthian influence in the crucially strategic client kingdom. He leads a Roman army against the fortress of Volandum, where after a siege of 8 hours, Corbulo takes the city. The legionnaires massacre the defenders and plunder Volandum to their heart's content. Without much delay, Corbulo marches on the major Armenian city of ARTAXATA, while their allies, Pharasmanes of Iberia and his army from the north, and Antiochus IV of Commagene from the southwest attack and support. The inhabitants of the city weigh their options and decide to open the gates as the Parthian-backed king Tiridates flees. His brother and ally, King Vologases of the Parthian Empire, is eager to support the relief effort, but his forces are tied down, suppressing a new revolt among the Hyrcanians. Despite the swift submission of the residents of ARTAXATA, Corbulo gives them a few hours to collect their valuables and burns the city to the ground. Corbulo first distinguished himself as a commander along the northeastern frontier opposite the Germanic tribes, but now, with this great achievement under his belt, he is on his way to having one of the most impressive military records of any Roman general in the past century. Back in Rome, the jubilant Emperor Nero, receiving the good news, has his own candidate for the Armenian throne crowned in the Eternal City. This man takes the regnal name of Tigranes VI and will act to restore Rome's influence over Armenia after being raised in the capital. Tigranes has noble blood as he is of the Herodian dynasty, which includes deceased prominent figures such as Herod Antipas and Herod the Great, of whom he is a descendant. To defend and protect Armenia, Nero gives to Tigranes a guard of 1,000 legionary soldiers, 3 auxiliary cohorts, and 2 wings of horses. 3 years prior, we witnessed a member of the noble Arsacid dynasty of Parthia named Vardanes rising up in interfamilial rebellion against his father, King Vologases. He immediately moved to the city of Ecbatana and asserted control of the surrounding territory, wherein he began to mint coins of his own to legitimize his claim as the real king of the empire. This year, Vologases can breathe a sigh of relief as the rebellion finally comes to an end. The exact outcome of this father-son saga is unknown, but in the end, coins claiming Vardanes as king stopped being minted in this year, so most likely he was either killed or captured. Over in China, an atypical state funeral is being arranged. This year, the half-brother of Emperor Ming and former Crown Prince Liu Jiang passes away. Upon his death, Emperor Ming orders that all the princes and major officials attend the funeral at Lucheng. Ordinarily, princes and high officials would not attend funerals held outside the capital, especially for someone who is not currently reigning. Their attendance reflects respect and legitimacy, as well as Emperor Ming's desire to treat his older brother with honor, even though he had been displaced as heir by Emperor Guangwu. Now it's time for In Memoriam, where we look back on the lives of prominent figures who died in the year. Radamistus was the son of Pharasmanes, king of Iberia. Ambitious and ruthless, he usurped the Armenian throne in 51 AD by invading the country with his father's support and murdered his uncle Mithridates, who had ruled as a Roman client king. His reign was marked by cruelty and instability, quickly alienating both the Armenian nobility and the local population. He was knocked off the throne once by the Parthians, but returned, only to lose it once again. He was forced to flee back to Iberia, and there, according to Tacitus, he was later executed by his own father after being accused of plotting rebellion. We will leave this year, 58 AD, with Nero having a falling out with his friend Otho over the love of Poppaea Sabina, Corbulo sacking ARTAXATA and dealing a crushing blow to the Parthians, and Tigranes VI being crowned as the new king of Armenia by Nero. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to be notified when the next iteration of the yearly histories will be released. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next year in 59 AD to continue the fascinating stories of the world of antiquity and cover its major events.